Apparently, U.S. Bradleys are taking out Russia's top-of-the-line main battle tank. Just how exactly did they do it? And why is this such an insane feat? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's talk about it. Now, the catch is I can't actually show you any footage from this battle. And the reason is because YouTube actually forbids me from showing any combat footage. But I'm going to be doing a deep dive analysis on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, of this exact battle on my premium site, combatvetnews.com. Check it out, become a member. It's a huge help to me, and it's really the only way I can do this since war content doesn't exactly have sponsors kicking down the door. But I can still do an analysis. And this is, again, the best write-up that I can find is the New York Post, who is kind of salacious, but it's fine. This battle takes place in Stepova. In fact, it's literally for the town of Stepova. And Stepova, as you guys may recall, is actually, let me make sure I have this right. It's outside of Bakhmut, if I remember correctly. No, I'm sorry. Stepova is outside of Avdiivka, and you could see it right here, and you could see Russian forces making some pretty minor advances, but really they've been blocked over the past maybe week or so. No, I'm sorry, over the past 2 weeks. They haven't really made any advances at all. And this is the 15th Separate Motor Rifle Brigade trying to take this small town of Stepova. And you can see why this is an objective for Russia, because they believe they can kind of stepping stone from Stepova to places like Berdichi, and then possibly to Semenivka or Livka, and start to cut off Avdiivka, which has been kind of their objective for a long time. I mean, for months now. And they haven't really achieved it, right? They've managed to go out, like drive away from Avdiivka, but they haven't actually managed to cut Avdiivka itself. And this fight for Stepova is crucial to Russia's actual objective. But right, it hasn't gone anywhere, and it's becoming increasingly embarrassing for them, honestly, when you see videos like this. Because remember, a T90 is Russia's premier main battle tank, and the T90, right, developed in the 1990s. So actually, the frame is more up to date, more modern than even the M1 Abrams, right? You can see it entered service in 92. Currently, the T90 MS was a 2017 iteration. Very, very modern, right? Composite steel armor, heat resistant, a 125 millimeter main armament with a secondary armament of a cord, tons of power, a top speed of 60 miles an hour, 550-mile range. Just a really tremendous vehicle. Very expensive, very difficult to replace, but also, in this case, very embarrassing that a Ukrainian Bradley took it out. Now, here's where things get a little different. The Bradleys weren't operating alone, and this is to me the story here. Yeah. 2 Bradleys and some drones taking out a Russian T90 is incredible, right? And you could see a T90 costs you about, in 2016 dollars, it costs about, I'd say about $5 to $6 million to make one of these. In contrast, right, a Bradley is going to run you, that's funny, I searched for it, I got the cost of Bradley University. Let's see, M1113, Bradley Fighting Vehicle. There we go. M113 Carrier. Let's take a look. So a Bradley, it has an individual unit cost, according to this, of around $3.1 million. So we're talking about a really just a lightweight personnel carrier, right? Produced with just a few tons of armor, and that armor is it's just an aluminum alloy. It's not really anything special. So the fact that it was willing to go toe-to-toe with a premier top-of-the-line Russian battle tank is sort of incredible. But here's the thing. What made the difference, yeah, the Bradley's a Bushmaster autocannon, 25 millimeters, definitely did some damage to the T90. But the secret was 2 things: well-trained crews and teamwork. And that, I think, is the real story here, right? Yeah, the T90 took 20 plus rounds of 20 millimeter to its front armor. But here's the thing, that 20 millimeter armor, not going to be enough to punch through a T90's front armor. What appears to have happened is that these Bradley crews were working, first off, in conjunction with a few other things. Clearly, they were talking to their FPV drones, which launched actually one of the initial strikes against the T90 in the video. And they worked as a team of two, the two Bradleys, plus they had drones overhead continually providing data to the Bradleys. So what they had in order to even the score was way better intelligence and weapons in the sky, right? So what appeared to have gone down is that, yeah, one of the Bradleys was punching rounds at that T90, but the Bradley crew was quite good, especially their gunner, because their gunner knew that the vulnerable part of a T90, and here's a T90 here, and you can see these two floodlights. These are IR floodlights that double as dazzlers to obfuscate laser-guided weapon systems. But you see these screens here, here, and here. These are actually the tank's optics. They allow the tank to see to acquire targets. And so one of the reasons that, I suspect the FPV drones may have actually taken out one of these. But then you can see the Bradley gunner actually trying to hit this front turret of the tank and trying to shear off and damage the optics. Because if you can blind the tank, you don't need to punch through its heavy front armor, right? The autocannon won't be able to do that. But if you can get inside of these two little optic screens, you'll be able to deeply disrupt the ability of the tank to see itself. And I think that's what happened in this video, right? It appeared that the T90 was blinded either by the initial FPV drone or possibly the subsequent autocannon fire from the first Bradley. Then it seemed to panic. It used I think they call a thermal smoke screen, where it deployed a thermal charge that then tried to create this heat barrier around the tank, so that if the Bradley or the drones were using thermal vision to try to target specific parts of the tank, they would at least be blinded by this high heat substance that it had kicked out. But the tank appeared to have already been blinded. And so the Bradley was able to, for a while, sit directly in front of this T90 and put round after round into its turrets, further blinding it. And at the end, it appeared like the Bradley had managed to damage the turret, so much so that the turret was swinging again and again and again in a circle. And this, of course, indicated either that the turret had some kind of mechanical failure or that the crew itself was in absolute panic. And that's the other story here. The Bradley crew clearly knew how to fight a tank, right? You could watch them move, reposition, fire and maneuver, right? They worked with another Bradley that clearly at least fired on the tank long enough to tell the T90 that there was another adversary somewhere in the area. And by doing that coordination and staying cool in the face of a really panic-inducing situation, because remember, that main gun on that T90, right? That thing is it's 125 millimeters, guys. It's going to punch through those couple of sheets of aluminum in a Bradley like it's nothing. So, you have to understand that staying cool in a combat situation is the trait of a good crew. And the T90 crew did not appear to do that, right? They appeared to panic once they were blinded, spin the turret in circles, run the whole tank into a tree, stopping the turret rotation. And then here's the other thing that made it happen is that the Ukrainian forces also threw more FPV drones at the tank once it had been disabled, right? So, and what you have to understand is that it is hard to orient yourself when you're inside a vehicle in combat. And what I mean is that sometimes, and I've been there, it's hard to distinguish, right? Was that mortar fire or was it an IED? Is that small arms fire or is it someone throwing rocks, right? You can learn over time, but when you're inside a large vehicle, it's muffling the noise. Maybe that vehicle is already damaged. It can be really disorienting to even tell what's attacking you. And so when that FPV drone hit, the crew of the T90 may have said to themselves, oh my God, there's a Ukrainian tank here. It just fired its main gun at us, right? Or they could have said, there's another Bradley. Or they could have thought that there wasn't a Bradley at all. Maybe they thought the autocannon was light infantry. It's hard to know what they thought in that moment. And again, that's where crew experience comes in. An experienced, trained crew is going to be able to take a second, calm down, assess the information they do have, and make their best decision from it. And it seems like when the Bradley started putting the screws to that T90, that crew panicked. They literally ditched their tank. And that is the other takeaway here, is that the tank, while it was killed in the sense that it could no longer operate on the battlefield, the Bradley beat it by it didn't have to punch through the armor. It just had to blind the tank, panic the crew, and then drive them out of the vehicle. So the story here is, yeah, it's a testament to the Bradley, sure, which is, by the way, to be clear, an infantry fighting vehicle. The Bradley is meant to be a school bus. It is meant to ferry armored squads in a pinch up to the battlefield, deploy them, and take them back. And in places like the Iraq War and in Ukraine, the Bradley has also sort of become a firing platform. It's like provides really good support by fire. But to be clear, it was never meant to spend a second in front of a tank, right? The Bradley was meant to move troops behind tanks as they moved through the battlefield. So you would have armored divisions crossing the battlefield in their tanks, in their M1s, and then the Bradleys would follow behind with squads. And if the tanks got into an infantry fight, the Bradleys would release their infantry squads, and those infantry squads would go protect those armored formations. So the Bradley was never meant to go toe-to-toe with a tank, but with teamwork and really well-trained crews and a supporting cast, to be clear, absolutely make this possible. Again, a Bradley, if that Bradley was a lone Bradley against that lone T90, would not have come out in its favor. Because the Bradley engaged with additional fire support, FPV drones, and intel above and beyond what that Russian crew was operating with, it became a one-sided massacre. Anyway, guys, be sure to check out the full breakdown on combatvetnews.com. And of course, a huge thank you to our existing members of combatvetnews.com, who really are the ones who make this channel possible. I could not do this without you guys. If you like this content, hit like and subscribe. Tell the YouTube algorithm that it is good. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.